Good morning, you guys, and welcome back to my channel for another video. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Ashley and I'm a homeschooling mom of 4, and I share all about homeschooling, mom life, and a dash of encouragement and fitness sprinkled in there. So if you enjoy that content, I would love to have you subscribe. So be sure to click the button down below to subscribe and turn on your bell notifications so that way you are notified whenever a new video uploads to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my Q1 homeschooling update. These videos I have been doing pretty much since my channel started. It's where I sit down, and if we were friends in real life and you asked me, so how's homeschooling been going, Ashley, and you wanted to listen to me talk for 20 to 30 minutes, these are the things that I would tell you. So this video is just like some highlights of the quarter, the first 9 weeks of our new homeschool year, as well as I do pay attention to the questions that I get asked often, and then I always try to sprinkle those questions into these updates as well for you guys. So we are going to be chatting about the first 9 weeks of school in our new school year. I have my notes in my phone, and so just grab yourself a blanket, get comfortable, get a cup of something you love, water, tea, coffee, all three, whatever it is, and let's talk about Q1, weeks 1 through 9 in our homeschool. All right, so our new school year started at the end of August. It was actually the latest start in a calendar year I've ever had in my homeschool since I started 7 years ago. We started the last Monday of August. I believe it was August 30th, and as I am finishing this, it is mid-October. That is when we have wrapped up 9 weeks of schooling. So, that start date really was like just based off of travel plans that we had. My husband and I celebrated our 15-year wedding anniversary, and so we had booked a special trip to Florida, and I knew better than to try to start a new homeschool year like the week after coming back. We needed a week buffer. So that put us starting at the end of August. So generally speaking, in all years past, by this point of the school year, I am a little farther into my school year, like definitely generally around week 12 or something by this point, but this year, mid-October, we have finished 9 weeks. We did take 1 week off. I have told you guys time and time again that when I start a new homeschool year, I do not take entire weeks off for at least the first 6 to 7 weeks, just because even though we've been homeschooling a long time, getting everybody into a routine and a rhythm and establishing like expectations of new curriculums and new ages and new responsibilities and bedtime and all those things, that generally takes me still quite a few weeks with 4 kids. And I don't want to break routine the minute we've established one, so we really try to not travel or take whole weeks off if we can prevent them in the beginning of the first quarter. So the first break we took was like a long break, was a week off when we went down to Coronado Island. We took our trailer down there and we had a great beginning of fall beach camping trip with our RV. We were down there for 5 days, and so we did not do school those days. So that was the longest break that we took in Q1, and that was really the only break we took in Q1, other than the exception of a few Fridays that we had to travel for a soccer tournament or something like that. We just didn't do school. Usually I plan for 5 days a week in our school weeks. In those weeks we just did 4, and that is fine. So other than that, that was really the only break that we took. And that also has to do with going into Q2, because Q2 always falls during the holiday time, and naturally there are more weeks and times that I take off during that time frame. So I like to go into Q2 having had a more structured, more just really working through the books type of quarter, so that way in Q2 we can kind of relax a little bit and take a little bit more time as we need it or as things come up to just savor the holidays and all the good stuff that comes with fall and winter where we live. And that is just part of the ebbs and flows of homeschooling. And so yeah, that was really the only break that we took in Q1 was that 5-day trip to Coronado. I will say though that we have taken many more trips, and this is where homeschooling and life kind of collide. My daughter is playing on a really competitive league soccer team, and so we are traveling. We already travel a lot with our RV, and travel is just a huge priority to us. So it's a part of homeschooling, traveling and showing my kids the United States, and even, you know, before outside of the United States. And so I will say though that we have been gone a lot more than I really want to be, because like going places on the weekends is fun and enjoyable, but coming back is always a little bit tiring, and then not really wanting to take off additional time. A lot of times we've come back and I've started school like the very next day, and we're getting it done, but it is not my desired situation. So I'm just gonna have to figure out like if I should just allow us a buffer every time we come back from being out of town for soccer, or because this is going to be for the whole school year this year. So before, you know, she traveled for soccer and stuff, and so it was just random weekends here and there. It wasn't really a big deal, but now it's like multiple times a month. And so yeah, I'm gonna have to adjust, because I do not want to start back to school on Mondays after being gone all weekend, but I also can't have my high schoolers only doing school 3 days a week, because then we won't finish. So yeah, I'm gonna have to kind of figure out what that looks like. I don't really know. So if you have a high schooler who is a competitive athlete and you know the travel demand that place is, let me know what you guys do down below. I would love to hear from you. I love just getting feedback. When my kids were little, it was no big deal. And by little, I mean like elementary school, even middle school little. But high school is different. It's just a lot more work. And 4-day weeks work okay, but like 3 is not enough to complete that week of work. And so I'm needing to figure that out. So anyways, I wanted to touch on that. I need some advice even after all these years. I know there's some of you homeschool moms who have been doing it longer than me, who have graduated kids, who maybe you had athletes. Please share what you did down below. Now I wanted to touch on something that has been an absolute wonderful addition to our homeschool, and I do need to give credit where credit is due. I heard about this from Abby from Rooted in Rest. I am finally not calling her channel A Full-Time Wife Life, which was her channel name before she changed it to Rooted in Rest. And I am like so proud of myself, because mentally Abby will always be Full-Time Wife Life to me. But she's a great friend and someone I'm super thankful to have in my corner on this homeschool YouTube mom space, and I just love her. Her oldest daughter is, I think, 1 or 2 years behind my daughter, so we generally are kind of entering into the same seasons. And so a lot of the resources that Abby shares are helpful to me, because, you know, I do have middle schoolers as well. So I enjoy keeping up with Abby and all that she's doing. So anyways, she's the one I heard about World Watch News from. You guys, where has World Watch News been my whole homeschool life? I wish I would have been having my kids watch this forever. Not only do my children love it, they beg me to watch all of the episodes. Like if we miss a Monday when we do school on Tuesday, they want to watch Tuesday or Monday and Friday. Like they don't want to miss a minute of it. It is incredible. Incredible. It is it's basically like a 10-minute, I would say at the most, news segment, Christian news segment based on what is going on in the world. And they do talk about the actual, of course they can't talk about everything, but they talk about the major news headlines. And they do it in a way that there is no like political propaganda through this. It is from a Christian like worldview. They do wrap up every segment of their episodes saying, no matter what the news, the purpose of the Lord will stand. Something like that. And I just love it. I need that reminder every single day. So it is so great for my kids, especially my older kids. They love knowing what is going on in the world. They hear things, they hear Jake and I talking, and it is so wonderful to discuss the world events with my kids because we don't have cable or any type of news in our house. So really all they would know would be what they hear on the radio maybe, or what Jake and I were talking about. And so this is like helping them feel informed, and I can see that they really love it, and I love it too. I signed up. They do offer episodes for free, I believe, on their YouTube channel, but I wanted to support them, and so I did sign up for the full episodes. There might be a difference in length from the paid membership and the free ones they put on YouTube. But I think I pay $9 a month. It's worth it tenfold. Like, it's amazing. So I highly encourage you guys to check out World Watch News. It is so valuable. We do it as a part of our morning basket, and I just cannot sing its praises enough. So thanks, Abby, for telling me about it. The next thing, I have little notes here for Q1 that I wanted to touch on for you guys. So we use The Good and the Beautiful for history. We are doing history year 4. The first unit is on ancient Rome, and the book, one of the recommended read alouds for that, is a book called Son of Charlemagne. I have never really quit a book, a chapter book, like a read aloud to my kids. I just don't quit books. We will read them, and then we will say, well, we didn't really love that one, or something like that. I quit that book. That I couldn't do it. I pushed through to about chapter 4, and I was dreading reading it. My kids were dreading listening to it, and then that's when I go, nope, not worth it. We're done. There's a million other books I would rather read, and I'm not gonna have enough time in my whole lifetime to even read to my kids all the books I want to read. So why am I going to read this book that we all hate? So we put that away. Did not like it. Didn't like it at all. And I'm actually really mad that I spent $15 on that book. It was expensive because it's an older book and they're harder to find. But yeah, it was not, we couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Now, the next thing I wanted to tell you guys about has been something that has been so amazing that at first I was like, oh, I was getting really excited about it, and then I was like, it's too soon. It's too soon. Don't get your hopes up, Ashley. For some reason, we are finishing our school days about an hour and a half to 2 hours earlier than we were last year. Now, I do know that I have started our school days almost 100% of the time at 8:30. Some mornings everybody's ready at 8:30, and some mornings I am having to be more, come on, you have 5 minutes left, like that kind of thing. And I do not like those mornings. I don't like being that mom, but I've got high schoolers. We need start times like, yeah, yes to relaxation and homeschooling and freedom and all of that, but also like eventually you're gonna have a job and you do have to be there on time. So we need to start like understanding time discipline in my house. When you've got littles, it's less important, but I do feel like managing time management, punctuality is something that is like so overlooked in our world and in our society. It's just like, oh yeah, if I'm late, who cares? It's like kind of cutesy to be late all the time. No, not in my house. I don't think that that is godly. In fact, I was listening to Elizabeth Elliot, and punctuality was something that her parents instilled in Elizabeth Elliot. If you don't know who she is, look her up. And anyway, she was talking about how her dad used to say that being late is taking advantage of someone's most valuable resource, and that is time, because you can never get it back. And that, I was just like, yes. So anyway, we have been starting school at 8:30, and some days I'm fighting for it, but we're there 8:40, you know, somewhere around that time. So maybe that has to do with with why we're finishing up about an hour to an hour and a half earlier than we were last year. And by that, I mean my oldest kids. So it's been really, really nice because even with our lunch breaks and even with snack breaks, we are done with schoolwork definitely by 2 o'clock every day, sometimes even in the 1 o'clock hour. And those are the days where I'm like, yes, this was awesome. So yeah, and that's doing all of our stuff. Like when we do morning basket together, when we do every subject, that's about how long it's taking, 8:30 to 1:30, somewhere around there. So that's with a lunch break, so count that in. So I would say like 4.5 hours for my high schooler. That's pretty amazing. So I've been really happy with that. If you guys watched my math update, I wanted to provide a little more update on math because I changed it. Go back and watch. It's called like my Chatty math update or something like that. I changed math curriculums kind of in the 11th hour, not kind of, in the 11th hour. And we have been so happy with Shorman math for my high schoolers. Just hands down amazing. I am seeing some gaps that were left by teaching textbooks, but it's not bad. It's not bad enough that they aren't able to kind of like work through it and then, you know, pick up. So that's been good. But what I will say is that a lot of you recommended those of you who have used Shorman Math told me that it can be counted as an honors course. So that was new information to me. So thank you to everyone who told me that. Olivia is doing Simply Good in the Beautiful math, and that is going amazingly. Love that. Love the improvements. Love everything about it. Landon, my middle schooler, go back and watch the math update because I don't want to go over everything I said, but he's using something called Principles of Mathematics through Masterbooks. And I wanted to do this because I wanted to make sure that before he enters into pre-algebra that there are no gaps left by teaching textbooks. And I've identified some already, so I'm really grateful that I had that kind of experience that led me to kind of, you know, consider finding a curriculum that was going to basically go over everything you need to know before you go to pre-algebra, and this definitely does that. In the beginning of this school year, a lot of it was review, and so he was just breezing through it like within 10 minutes. So then I started giving him more and more, and now we're to a point in it where this particular section he's kind of having a little bit of a struggle with. And so and they do offer for $60, $59.95. You can purchase videos that go with the lessons. In the beginning of the year, I didn't want to do that because I didn't know if it was going to be necessary. But now that we've kind of hit our first like roadblock, so to speak, where it's a challenge and, you know, he's needing me and it's like a little bit more difficult, I did go ahead and purchase that. So we've only used the videos like about twice. So I will let you guys know in my next update if I feel like the videos are worth the price. It's on Masterbooks Academy. So the curriculum was about $50 and then the Masterbooks Academy is $60. So altogether it's about $100, which is still very affordable, but I didn't want to spend $60 unnecessarily, but I did get those videos for him. So I'll be back in the Q2 update to let you know how that's going, but the other math situations are going wonderfully. Some books we finished already are Wild Robot and Wild Robot Escapes. Those were fun. Those were just lighthearted and cute, sweet books. My older kids love listening to stories like that, and I always try to start a school year off with just like a fun read aloud, and my younger kids love them as well. We finished our first missionary story, which was on Betty Green. Loved learning about her and what she was a part of. And now we've moved on to reading about David Livingstone for our missionary story. Now, speaking of missionaries, you already heard me mention Elizabeth Elliot. So we read her missionary story last school year, or maybe even the year before, as well as her first husband, Jim Elliot. We read both of their stories. So my kids already knew their stories basically. And I found out this year that Elizabeth Elliot's granddaughter actually takes some of her sermons and teachings that she gave, talks, I guess, when she was speaking, they would record some of them. And so her granddaughter started a podcast. It's called the Elizabeth Elliot Podcast. And every other Wednesday or every Wednesday, I think it's every other Wednesday, they upload a new talk that Elizabeth Elliot gave. And because my children already know about Elizabeth Elliot, a lot of the times when I've been listening to the podcast, my kids are also with me, and so they're listening too. It's a totally safe, obviously, podcast that they can listen to. But my kids have been getting so much out of listening to her podcast, and she's a fantastic storyteller, so she inserts some of her stories of being out on the mission field, and her faith is just so inspiring. So if you're looking for a podcast that you can listen to with your kids that is faith-filled, that will speak life into you as well as your children, I cannot recommend Elizabeth Elliot's podcast enough. Every time a new one comes out, I make time to listen to it in our with my kids as a part of our homeschool, whether that's driving in the car or whatever, but it's just been great. So I wanted to mention that in this video. For field trips, we have not done any specific school related field trips yet, other than nature study because fall and it's beautiful. But I told you guys, have been traveling a ton, and so I have been writing down anything that we have done for field trip type stuff while we've been traveling. And so I wanted to share what we have done with you guys so far. So over the summer, we went to my husband's college in Gunnison, Colorado, and we got an entire tour of the school, and my kids got to learn about like college and college admissions and athletics and all that, meet the coaches. Like, it was very educational, so I am counting that as a field trip for the school year because it was a tour, and like I even learned things, so that was really cool. In Gunnison, we were there in July. We also went to the Pioneer Museum there. I shared pictures with you guys on Instagram. That was so educational. My kids loved that. At the end of July, we went to the Good and the Beautiful's warehouse in Utah. I was out there filming for the Constitution release, and so we got to go behind the scenes. I filmed a video for you guys, so my kids were there for that, so they definitely got to see like how companies work and you know, processes and procedures and all that. So I'm definitely counting that as a field trip. When we went to Florida at the end of August, we were at the beach. So tons of nature study, finding animals, jellyfish, all of the above. Super educational. But we went to Fort Condi in Alabama. Mobile, Alabama. Some of you were telling me how to say it and I still can't remember, so forgive me. But we did go there, and so we are obviously counting that as a field trip. That was super educational as well. So those are our field trips so far this year. We haven't done any specific ones since we started school at the end of August. All of those took place while we were on break. So see, summer break is actually not, you know, the blending of life and homeschooling. But those are the field trips we've done. So if you find yourself in any of those areas, super awesome things to think about. This year, we are continuing on with doing poetry tea time with our friends, as I've done for 2 years past now, I think. So that has been going well. We've done it twice now for September and October, and it's super fun. And we are also continuing with quarterly presentations with our same homeschool friends. And the first presentation we did this year was an actual like science fair, science projects. And that is something, that is one of those things that I've known I wanted my kids to have the experience of doing, but that mentally just the thought of like all that whew, it was a lot of work. And it was a lot of work, you guys. I'm not even gonna sit here and say, oh, it was so easy. I mean, it took planning, it took effort, it took patience, because I don't know if any of you guys relate to this, but when my kids are doing science projects and something doesn't go just exactly as it should, it's like, Mom, it's not working, and like, it's a whole thing. But I am pleased to tell you that all of the projects went very well, and we had a lot of fun doing that, and it was a long week of preparation for our science fair, but it was very worthwhile, and I'm thrilled that we did that. So that was really fun. So I think that about summarizes weeks 1 through 9 in our homeschool. I've touched on a lot of the things I wanted to share with you guys and just kind of gave you an update. It's been a time of like really focused, dedicated learning. Now we're entering into the winter season, and I will definitely be more relaxed as the holidays get closer. Going to be incorporating the winter educational bundle, so be looking out for that video. When that goes on sale, going to be going through our Christmas devotional that we use. Going to be reading Christmas books and just soaking up all the goodness that quarter 2 will have. I do anticipate quarter 2 will take us a little bit longer to get through. You guys know when I plan my school year, I only plot out the first 6 to 8 weeks, and then from there I kind of evaluate. So I'm expecting that quarter 2 will take us from mid-October until January, because I'm giving myself a little more time there for breaks and all that stuff. So yeah, I will be back in January with quarter 2. Let me know if you have any questions about anything I mentioned in this video. Drop them down below. Let me know if there's anything you want me to update on that I missed. I can get back to you on here. But I hope you guys are doing well and you enjoyed listening to my quarter 1 update. I will see you all in my next video really soon. Bye guys.
Get some rest.